Now, on a major edition of Morning Drive, 24-year-old Jordan Spieth begins his quest for the career Grand Slam. What are the 4 things he must do to make history at Quail Hollow? And what do Steph Curry, archery, and the game of darts all have in common with one of golf's great young talents? Plus, the best in the game are on the range as we get you set for the men's final major of the year. We'll go inside the ropes to the likes of Spieth, DJ, and Day. It's all ahead on Morning Drive this Thursday, August 10th, 2017.
Well, the wait is over for the 156 players who will tee it up in this 99th edition of the PGA Championship. 26 countries are represented, but it is one American who is looking to become the youngest player in history to complete the career Grand Slam.
Many have tried. Some have come close, but only few have achieved it.
He's won them all. The Grand Slam.
In tennis, it's the mastery of every surface. Grass, clay, hard court.
And there it goes, a Grand Slam home run.
In the national pastime, it's the game-changing base-clearing colossus.
At last, he's won the 4th of the world's great championships.
But what does the Grand Slam mean in our game? It is the knowledge that on the 4 most important weeks, you possess the game, but more than measured up. It succeeded, and at times it soared. Under the most extreme pressure, you played the correct shot, hit it the right weight, made the big putt. Not just once, but again, and again, and again. And now, after that electric victory at the Open, one more player sits at the doorstep of joining our little club. Good luck, young man.
And it's a almost full moon over the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. In just a little bit over an hour, the first time in the 99th PGA Championship. Final preparations on this Thursday morning. It was over 100 years ago that Rodman Wanamaker convened a group of people to try to help grow the game of golf, and that group included the likes of Francis Ouimet, A.W. Tillinghast, and here we sit in 2017, and the 99th PGA Championship is about ready to begin. Good morning. Carolyn's Charlie Reimer, John Cook. We figured, why not do sweep? Let's go early.
Early.
So here we are. Gentlemen, you know, just to begin with, first of all, good morning to both of you. When you played major championships, which you both did, you're creatures of habit. Pace is a very important thing on a day like today, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to establish a routine, and you got to figure out a way to make big days like this, as big as they get, feel somewhat normal, and you have to do that. It's vitally important, and I think it's something a lot of amateurs don't think about in their games.
Right.
You know, whatever's important to you, the big challenge is to make it feel routine, and it's something that's pretty simple, but it's what helps you get through a day like this, John.
Yeah, and that routine started, you know, when you got on the grounds at Quail Hollow, and I always thought when major championship weeks, you prepared weeks ahead of time. So when you got there, everything was routine, like you said. And today, it's about being in your own bubble. It's about walking, like you said, pace. How you walk, how you do things, how you warm up. Never in a hurry. I don't want to rush anything. I'm anxious to get going, but you have to have an inner calm.
Yeah, the gravity of this situation it's a big deal, but you want to make it as normal as possible. So what is happening now? If you don't know by now, Jordan Spieth has a chance at the tender age of 24 to complete the career Grand Slam off winning the Open just a couple of weeks ago in dramatic fashion. He can do it here. He does not have a lot of experience here, only one start, tied for 32nd. However, you never take him for granted when it comes to majors. And meanwhile, this is something PGA of America normally does. They take the 3 major winners from the year, this year in 2017, and they group them together. So Sergio, the Masters champion, the U.S. Open champion, Brooks Koepka and Jordan Spieth, they will be off the 10th tee at 8:25. And there you see Jason Day, who won this championship in record-setting fashion at Whistling Straits. Justin Johnson, obviously with that U.S. Open, and the champion golfer of 2016, Henrik Stenson, also off the 10th tee at 8:35. So with that being said, let's start with Jordan Spieth, and let's start with where he's starting. The 10th, it's a 2-tee start. Everyone's going to start on one day, and everyone's going to start on 10 the second day. Charlie, your thoughts where Jordan's going to start on number 10?
Well, here's the deal. Wherever you're starting, you've got to feel like that's the very best place that you can start. You got to feel like, hey, I'm off number 10, even if you don't like starting on number 10 and you don't like playing early. You got to say, I love playing early. I love number 10. And I think Jordan Spieth, that's the thing that amazes me the most about him, is how well he thinks. When he stands up on this hole, he's going to think, John, that's where I'm supposed to be. I want to be here. This is an advantage, and it may very well be.
And your game plan is number 10 is a scoreable hole, where holes 1 through 3, you want to get through those at 1 over par would be very good, but you start on number 10, you get from 10, 11, and 12. These are scoreable holes, Charlie. So you get to the 10th hole, par 5, can be reachable, maybe not so much this morning. The hole location today is just on that second tier, just in the middle right part of the green, right there, and very, very scoreable hole. Then you get to number 11. Basically the same hole that was there before the renovations, except it's about 50 yards longer. And they've added a couple bunkers there, they've taken a couple trees out, but there's not a whole lot of other trouble. So you have to score number 11. Today's hole location is in the front left part of that green. Everything, if you get a shot going in that's shaped correctly, it will kick on the green and it will work towards the hole. So a very scoreable opportunity when you get to number 11 as well.
And then you go right off the left edge of 11, you step up on 12 tee, plays a little downhill off the tee, and it gets a little bit narrow in that landing zone. Those trees sort of hang in there, and it really is one of those holes. If you stand up there and stripe it, you got a great opportunity to maybe make birdie. You miss that tee shot a little bit, you get in that rough behind those trees, it's going to be a big scramble to make par. The whole location here is in that front right, and I think the theme we're going to see this entire week, the front hole locations are going to be more challenging than the back hole locations, because even though we've had a humid week, we've had some rain, a little bit of rain forecasted, the greens are still going to stay very firm. Those flags that are in the back, you can land it in the middle of the green, it'll work towards it. The ones in the front, you get a little pass, it's not going to work back down towards the front of the green.
Okay, you mentioned the word firm, and that's interesting, because we have a golf course. The expectations of this golf course, you never hear soft and firm usually associated together. Your expectations about this golf course on day one?
It's going to play a lot longer than many people might think. Aaron Hills, for example, played a lot shorter than people might think. The golf course was running. What's unusual about it, John, and you and I have talked about that a lot this week, the fairways are very, very soft. They didn't regrass the fairways, so they have a lot of organic in them. They've been able to hold that moisture a little bit, and they don't have a way to get it out. So the ball is, it's not plugging in the fairway, but we're not getting much roll. The greens are brand new. They're practically sand. There's a system underneath, sub-air, that pulls that water through. So the greens are really firm. That's a tough combination.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, driving is of the utmost importance this week, Charlie and Gary. You've got to put the golf ball in the fairway to have any chance to hit the greens in 2 or hit the greens in regulation. If you miss the greens around here, there's a number of bad places to be, because the transition area from the Bermuda fairway, 20 yards short then, is the new Tiff Grand. The Bermuda fairway is soft and wet. The Tiff Grand is firm and very, very tight. So when you're pitching around these greens from that Tiff Grand, it's very hard to get a good catch, to get a good contact, to get the ball up in the air and spinning. Now, if you hit it in the rough, about 2 to 3 inches doesn't sound like much, but Charlie, you know, this Bermuda rough, that ball will sink down to the bottom, and you're trying to pitch it into the, over a bunker or onto the green, and you short side yourself. virtually impossible to get the ball within 10 to 12 feet. So it's very, very difficult if you miss greens around Quail Hollow.
And I'll tell you another thing to look for today. If you hit the greens, you have a really difficult time getting uphill putts here. In so many places, even if you have a little bit of an uphill putt, then it sort of falls away from you a little bit. So I think the players that have the best week are going to be very Nicklaus-like on the greens. And when I say that, I think about Jack Nicklaus throughout his career, and I've had a chance to talk to him about this. He's always trying to die the ball in the top of the hole. The players that have this mentality, I'm going to get everything to the hole, 17 inches by if I miss it, those players that are aggressive and are trying to hole a lot of putts, I think they're going to have a very quick week. They're going to be going home on Friday night.
Very interesting. All right, we're going to be with you, obviously, throughout the morning here till 8 o'clock, then it's live from. But for now, we go back to the World Headquarters, say good morning to the gang, starting with Cara Robinson. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Gary. Thank you. Cara, alongside Damon Hacker and the 2004 PGA Championship runner-up Chris DiMarco. Chris, you played in this event 10 times. What are the nerves like on the opening day of a major?
Well, I mean, you've done all your preparation. You are excited to be there. For me, I normally like to start afternoon and then go early, but in majors, I always like to go early, late, just because I'd like to get my week started. You know, it's a major, and you have to be able to control those emotions, but you're ready to get the day started. You've prepared yourself, and you're ready to go.
There's universal enthusiasm and excitement on a day like this. It's the players and the caddies, it's the broadcasters and the writers, it's the fans as well. And I'm fascinated by how these players embrace majors these days, because it's all we talk about. We focus on it. Do you prepare and embrace it? Do you minimize it, as Charlie said, or do you maximize it? It's fascinating to watch these players deal with the pressure of major championship golf.
Yeah, Justin Thomas was speaking to Steve Bukowski on Live From yesterday about the fact that they do put so much more into the preparation of these events, but actually he was like, we should be doing this every week. And of course they do. There's a lot of build-up. There has been, and a lot of people ready to get this underway today. So with Jordan Spieth looking to complete the fourth leg of the Grand Slam this week, our own Chris DiMarco has devised a 4-step plan to get him there. So what would be your first piece of advice for him this week?
Something that he's very good at, and it's basically to devise a game plan that he needs to stick with that gets him to the back nine on Sunday in contention, without a doubt. He cannot win the tournament on Thursday. You can't go out today and win the tournament. You can certainly lose it today. You can go out and get ahead of yourself and maybe not put a good number up and then be fighting the rest of the weekend. And basically, by not putting a good number up today, you're fighting to get back into position, and basically you're out of your game plan. So he needs to really stick to it and understand that a bad shot here or a bad shot there is okay, and you're going to make bogeys and not get ahead of himself.
It's interesting because I would compare this to the Open at St Andrews 2 years ago in 2015. He entered that one trying to reach the third, or trying to get, I should say, his third consecutive major, which would have potentially set him up for a career Grand Slam that year. He put himself in position on that back nine on Sunday, so he knows what it takes, I think, to devise that kind of a game plan. You look back to what he did then. Up until the 17th green, he was right in the mix. He was tied for the lead, and he had a really unfortunate situation on the hole, meaning he had to try and grind out this par putt and just slid by to the right, as you can see, and that dropped him one shot out of the lead, leaving him this birdie attempt from the Valley of Sin on 18, and that is how close he came to making the playoff. Now look at his reaction. It wasn't just him, it was the man standing by his side, his longtime caddy now, Michael Greller, absolutely devastated. I have to say, I spent an awful lot of time speaking to Bones, who's now one of our colleagues at the Open, about Michael Greller and about his impact that he has on Jordan's game. He said, Damon, he works so hard, he exhausts himself almost to the point of doing as good a job as he can do for Jordan Spieth. He said he gets to the course hours and hours before his tee time. He walks loops and loops. He sits on holes to watch how people are playing it. No doubt he's got a great guy next to him. And then I was lucky enough to do a big interview with Michael after he won the Claret Jug at Birkdale, and to speak a little bit about Jordan's mental approach. And he said, look, he's had tough things happen to him. He knows how to deal with it. And the thing is the Open was something like the 13th time he'd held the lead in the major. There's one thing that's certain. He is now comfortable in this position and comfortable with us putting the pressure on him.
Yeah, I've always been impressed by high-level athletes and how they prepare. Steve Young in the NFL, Tiger Woods in our game, Jim Furyk, Phil Mickelson. Jordan Spieth is very similar, in my opinion. He asks the right questions. He doesn't believe he knows all the answers. Perfect example, the way he approaches the Masters. And Augusta National. Who did he talk to in his early Masters playings? Ben Crenshaw, a two-time Masters champion, talking to Tom Watson, talking to Carl Jackson, Ben Crenshaw's caddy. He's not afraid to ask questions, to listen, and then go out and apply it to the golf course. Quail Hollow is not a golf course he knows very well. One tie for 32nd back in 2013, but believe it, he has done the correct homework and preparation and talked to the right people to be ready for this moment this week.
Yeah, I believe he has. And it's interesting you say that, because it makes me think of Rory McIlroy, who we know used to lean on Jack Nicklaus a lot for advice. And you've written an article, I know, last night on golfchannel.com about the fact that Jordan and Rory seem to be the two that are vying for Tiger's throne.
I think so. I think they've separated themselves. You know, no disrespect to Dustin Johnson and Jason Day and Hideki Matsuyama and John Rahm, but those are the two guys in my mind, Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy, who this week are playing for history and perhaps to really be the heir to the Tiger Woods throne. Much more to do on this championship Thursday. We've all waiting for this final major championship of the year. Let's say good morning to Chantel McCabe. She has the tee sheet. How are you, Chantel?
Good morning, Damon, and to everybody at home. We are just getting started on Morning Drive, so let's show you what's ahead on the show. Words of a champion in sports: tempo, precision, and focus. But when it comes to Jordan Spieth and his mental game, we've been talking about it so much. See the parallels of other sports and how elite athletes pull off great moments when time stands still. And while all eyes are on Jordan Spieth and the chance for the 24-year-old to achieve a modern-day career Grand Slam, we take you inside the ropes for the opening round, showing you who the favorites are in the field, including world #1 Dustin Johnson. Plus, a backyard that will make golf fans everywhere jealous. You have to see this. While we're in a major championship week, see how a NASCAR driver in North Carolina brought a piece of Augusta National home and how he got into combining his passion for golf with his business ventures. Well, this week is highlighted with big names, and the spotlight shines on Jordan Spieth with a Grand Slam. Will we see one this year?
This is a chance to complete the career Grand Slam. I'm here, so I'm going to go ahead and try, but I believe I'm going to have plenty of chances, and I'm young enough to believe in my abilities that it will happen at some point. And do I have to be the youngest? No, I don't. I don't feel that kind of pressure. Would it be really cool? Absolutely.